What have you done now?
So this is a project I'm trying to do to take some images I grabbed from around the web and turn them into a cool picture that will portray the Spanish Armada. You notice I've got a bunch of ships here in the St. Augustine Bay. This is the Castillo de San Marcos, and I have this image here, which makes a pretty cool image. I have this one, which is the same area shot from a different angle, totally different person took those pictures, and then I also considered using these guys here, but they're off to the side and it doesn't make any sense. I couldn't quite figure out how to make that work, so we won't be using that. But I've imported these into Photoshop to create this background, and this background was created by creating a basic layer that's more or less the size of the two pictures together, putting in one and then laying the other layer over the top, and using a layer mask to erase portions of the second layer, which is this picture here. Where are you? So just to give you, it's in Lightroom. So this picture here, what I've done is I've just dragged it over. This guy here got completely cut out of it, and I'm dragging it over, and I just kind of cut it out. I make it cut out right here so you can see the sky change right above, and so then I use a layer mask to cut that out, and now I've got this area. And I was careful to try to make sure that my horizons lined up. Now the zoom is a little bit more back over here, but frankly, that area right there is going to get covered up because back in Ponce de Leon's days, we didn't have all these condos. So I'll have to deal with those later, and I'll probably grab some of this over here and do some cut and paste over there. But for now, we're just going to start with this, and we're going to add our ships and everything else as we go along. So then I went out, here we go. So I went out and found this image on the web, which some extreme weather over Dublin, Ireland, sandy beaches and stuff, so it looked pretty tropical to me, although Dublin is far from the tropics. And I went in and dropped that image into Photoshop. I had taken the time to scrub out the background. I went ahead and used my layer masks both on the right side and the left side to finish cleaning up. There was also some buildings that you could see along those lines back there, and we got rid of the buildings just by covering up. I did work on both the left side, or I'm sorry, on the right side, and then the left side layer masking, and then I dropped these clouds in behind it, and so there's my storm headed into St. Augustine, and I can take this and play with it, move it around a little bit, find exactly the way I want it to look. I kind of like this right here. I want to see the intensity of the storm right there on St. Augustine Bay, and I don't want it to get too blue over here to the right. So I'm kind of trying to get the darkest images right here, because I'm going to have a whole bunch of ships superimposed out here.
What have you done now?
A real quick word on adding my ships. Obviously, it's hard to find good Spanish galleons. We found some pretty nice models that we can use to do this, and so the first thing I did, you can use a variety of different selection methods. On this one, I ended up using I actually used a quick selection to make it work, and this quick selection method, if I could get there, it is my tool. So I've got a quick select. Oh, let me get over here. trying to do multiple screens. Okay, so quick selection method. Essentially, I grab and get a right brush size, and then I'll just kind of start drawing my selections in. And notice it selects the whole field there, and you don't want that. So you got to once it screws up, you got to kind of drag it back, and then the quick selection tool. The benefit of it is that you can later on you can define your selection even more. So for example, there's my gross selection, and I can kind of pull that back up. I'm doing this real fast, but just give you a general idea what you can do here. Then I'll pull these back down, and that gets that, and we'll pull ourselves back to our sales, and then obviously this isn't good enough, but you can use your refine edge tool. That'll allow you to come in here and actually kind of start drawing in areas that you don't like, and you just kind of refine the edges, and the ships will refine better by using a layer mask, and this will allow you to select out your image. And I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing this very quickly because there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work to these particular images. And then you just, in this case, we would output this as a new layer with a layer mask, and what you'll see happen now is that now you got the old background layer was saved, and now we've got a layer mask that kind of takes everything out there, and then all you do, of course, once you start working on the layer mask, is you're painting with black and white, black to erase, or black to erase things, and white to add them back. You select your paintbrush, and you can begin to start painting in. I'm just using a black brush. I'm painting on the layer mask. So if you know how to use the layer mask, that's a big win there. So that's one way to do that. That's how I selected this one. The one to the left, and the one over here to the far left, I used the same technique on it. It was more challenging too, because we got colors that are really close to each other, so that required a lot of extra work. This one here, I used a different approach. I used the background eraser tool, and I'm not going to go through that whole process, but it is the background eraser tool, and you just get it selected, get your brush size that's kind of consistent with the best average of the whole. Push it and hold, and then just start drawing. Hang on to it, and it will take out the background for you real aggressively. And every once in a while, let's see how it crossed up on the ship down there. That's no big deal. We can fix that with a healing brush in a minute. But you can get rid of a lot of the junk on the ship and around the ship real fast with a big brush. I have not released the mouse at all from the first time I started, and I was able to clean up around the. Now, once I get to the point that one just won't take anything else off, and again, don't worry about if you're not getting it all, because you can reselect. Don't worry about things like what happened here at the bottom of the ship. Now, see this middle area right here, I've released the mouse, but I'm going to select that area because it's a little bit different color of gray. And that one will let me take out the rest of things. And remember, this ship, for the purposes of this thing, this ship is kind of going to be off in the distance. So, if I don't get all my ropes and things like that, big fat hairy deal, nobody cares. But again, I've cleaned this up, and we'll get the rest of that up there. There you go, get the rest of that just because it was bothering me. Here we go. So we're taking all that out. I'll show you how to fix this problem here. We'll go back up here and get the healing brush and get a little bit bigger brush, and I just draw that back in, and it'll come right back. The program remembers what was there before. You can kind of see it hanging out underneath. So be a little bit careful, and you've got yourself those little problems fixed. Later on, you try to fix all the rest of these things. You also take your eraser and get rid of the stand up here to the water line, and you basically end up with something like this, that then you can select out of the picture and use it to cut and paste. So that's how we grabbed our boats. And so that's that part done for us. So now, trying to catch you up with where I'm at. I'm trying to do this in little steps. I'll be doing a lot of editing even of the video to make it more concise and rapid. But now you see we have the angry sky back here, and that angry sky has been, let's see, that one I believe is right there. Yeah, I've actually adjusted the, I've gone in and adjusted the image to try to go for something that was less saturated. And then I've made some saturation adjustments to each one of these ships. And the ships were pretty interesting. We grabbed them from a variety of different places and selected them out of their background. They still look pretty well composed right now. Looks like there's a composition going on. However, when we get done with this, you won't really be able to see that so much. However, you could apply grainy filters and things like that even to the ships as they are right now. And another thing that you can do with them is you can just use the blur tool. So for example, I've got this one selected here. I think that's the right one. Let's make sure we got the right guy. But where is my guy here? There they are. So let's say I got these ships out here and they're kind of looking a little too sharp. We could grab the blur tool and just kind of blur them a little bit and fix that. And you can make the adjustment here at the very top of the screen for changing the strength of the blur tool. It's interesting that there's a variety of different things that you can do with the blur tool, including taking a saturation change. So for example, when I look at this ship over here to the near left, I don't know, maybe we can try to do a saturation blur, and that kind of just desaturates the image a little bit. I'm not sure if I like it all that much. Control Z that, get rid of that, and but you certainly could. You could probably do that to certain areas of the image and make it a little bit more believable. Nevertheless, so we've got our cloud layer, and that's the one that's there, and it's been adjusted. We've taken the time to, there's the old, I've taken the left side of the picture out here, and you can see the beach from the cloud layer because it's underneath. It's all the way down there at the bottom, right down here. On the right side, we can see the beach again from the cloud layer. We're just laying things over the top. And then my little ships. Let's see here. Actually, that's a blank layer. I could actually get rid of that one because it doesn't have anything in it. Might use it for mist, though. You could do that. So if you were looking for a misty look over the top of this area here, but didn't necessarily want to affect those things there, you could paint in some mist if you want to on that. But in this case, we'll just blank that out. And then there's my ship that's straight ahead. He comes and goes. My ship to the near left, and the ship to the one off to the right. And so now this image is looking pretty good. It's still what's still probably one of the neatest things is how we were able to pull off this composition of pulling this side of the screen and that side of the screen together, and change the size of the images and get our horizon working kind of like it is. That storm looks pretty menacing out there, and so that's how that ended up looking. And then the last thing that I did, and I'm going to pull up the other to open this one up here real quick. And Photoshop projects, Spanish Fort project, and there is my. So then the last thing that I did, sometimes I like to just go ahead and save an image, so what I did was essentially was I flattened. What happened here? There we go. Now I've got my background. So I took the time, I went back, I took this image right here, this is where I was there, and all I did was I flattened the image, and that has the effect of pulling all these images together into one image. So I can flatten the image, and now my layers are done. And then after I flatten it, I'll save it into a new name, so that I don't lose that. So I'll start off with one name, flatten it, save it as a new name. Now I've got both files, both flattened and unflattened. They're still PSD files. And then when I bring it over, then you've got all kinds of actions that you can do, and you get to that by under the window. You go to Actions, and that's going to bring up your Actions menu, which will be over here. And in this case, the one that I found that really gave me what I was looking for was one called Retro Wash and Dust. And so when that one was done, it gave me this look of almost like an old magazine or newspaper print. And you can see now all of those artifacts that are suggestive of a composition are gone. And what you came away with was just a really, really cool picture. And so that's how you do it. And hope you enjoyed that.
What have you done now?